as we like to say on the Reserve Twin Day, that means let's go. Jumbo everyone, my name is Alex. I'm going to be your safari guide as we venture into the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. How's everyone doing here this afternoon? I got one response out of probably 15 or plus people. Okay, we're off to a strong start. A couple of safety reminders before we head into the reserve, so please make sure you are listening. We ask for the safety of yourself and the comfort of those around you, so please remain seated at all times, keeping all arms, hands, feet, and legs, everything on your person inside the vehicle. We also ask that you remain having those face coverings on over your nose and mouth throughout our entire duration here today. As another helpful hint, try to refrain from doing any name calling, cat calling, shouting to the animals. This is their home, we are just guests. Try to be as respectful as you can. And this is a photo-friendly safari, so make sure you get those cameras out and ready. I recommend to put them on a sports or action mode if you are able to. We're first going to be entering the Little Aturi Forest, and the animals here like to use their camouflage in the dense vegetation of the forest to hide from their predators. On the right-hand side, we are going to be greeted by an okapi. The okapi is the only living relative of the giraffe, and we can tell because of its skull structure, and they have a long prehensile tongue, just like a giraffe has. Okapis actually have about a 13 to 15-inch tongue, and they can lick their own eyes. They're pretty shy and reclusive in their nature, and not very territorial, which makes the forest an excellent home for them. There's going to be a watering hole here on the left-hand side, favorite gathering spot for lots of different animals for when they want to get a drink. And on top of the hill on the right-hand side, we're going to be greeted by a beautiful black and white feathered bird. It's called a saddle-billed stork. There's actually two of them up there. They can reach heights of about 5 to 6 feet tall. They have a wingspan of 9 feet, and they do not vocalize, but they communicate by rattling their bills. We can tell the difference between the male and female storks. The males have brown eyes, the females have yellow eyes. And it seems as if the trees on the left-hand side have been bulldozed. I only know a few amount of animals with the strength to be able to bulldoze over some trees. It looks like there's a culprit laying down on the left-hand side. It's a black rhinoceros, my friends. There are currently less than 5,000 black rhinos in the wild. As they are poached for their horn, a lot of cultures believe that it has medicinal purposes, but it's actually made of keratin, just like our hair and fingernails. There's also a red-orange coated animal here on the left-hand side. It's called a bongo. And to the left, or excuse me, to the right of the bongo is going to be a greater kudu. We can tell this greater kudu is a female. Only the males are the ones with horns, and those horns can grow to be about 6 feet in length. The greater kudu can also leap about 8 feet high. That's how they outmaneuver their predators. And the bongos are nicknamed the ghost of the forest because they are rarely seen. If you look at their horns, you notice that they're quite heavy. They tilt backwards. It helps them get through the dense underbush with better ease. We're now going to be heading out of the Little Aturi Forest, my friends, and we're going to be entering the Safi River next. Animals in the Safi River thrive in aquatic environments, so if you take a look at your animal spotting guide, you may want to be thinking about which animals we typically find in or around some water. Towards the very end of the riverbank, my friends, we're going to be greeted by a Nile hippopotamus outside of the water. We usually find the hippos inside the water during the day, so that way they don't overheat from the sunlight. At night is typically when they come out to graze. They are herbivores, and they can consume 80 to 90 pounds worth of vegetation each and every day, which isn't too much considering a full-grown adult male hippo weighs about 5,500 pounds. Hippos can hold their breath underwater for about 6 to 8 minutes. They don't usually swim. They're not the best swimmers. You usually find them walking towards the bottom of the riverbank. Looks like there are 2 more hippos in the water on the left-hand side. Also nesting on a little island here, these are pink-backed pelicans. They get their coloration from mating season, and they are also colonial nesters, which means they can nest up with about 20 to 500 other pelicans, and they have a wingspan of 7 to 9 feet. There's a better view of those hippos. Hippos, just like humans, are very protective of their young and also extremely territorial, which makes them one of the most dangerous animals in all of Africa. Oh, look, there's 2 more outside of the water. And speaking of dangerous animals, my friends, we're going to be greeted by some fearsome Nile crocodile. Crocodiles have an extremely powerful bite capable of crushing the bones of their prey, and their powerful bite also enables them to consume prey much larger than themselves, such as zebra and wildebeest. Their jaws are gentle enough, though, to help hatch the baby eggs, but you can usually find a mother or a father rattling an egg in their mouth. And crocodiles are ectothermic, which means they take on the surrounding temperature of their environment. Usually you can find them opening up their mouth as it helps to release the heat that is trapped inside of their bodies. And they only have about 1 full meal each week, but they have been known to go months without eating due to the scarcity of food. That's why they were not moving around too much. They try to conserve as much energy as they can. So we're now going to be heading out of the Safi River, and we're going to be entering the savannah next, the longest part of our journey. But before we get over there, we're going to be able to see a baobab tree on the right-hand side. It's also called the upside-down tree. Now this tree will remain leafless for about 9 months out of the year, but it has a tremendous amount of water stored inside of its trunk. Those holes that we see are actually from elephant tusk, trying to poke at the tree to get the water that is stored inside. Elephants will use the baobab tree as a last-minute resort if they cannot find any water nearby. And here it is, everyone, the savannah. If there was ever a highway for animals, this would be it. There's millions of animals migrating through here each and every year. As beautiful as the savannah is, it is also extremely fragile. One piece being altered or removed could have detrimental effects on the animals that live here. So we want to do everything in our power to keep it intact and whole for the next generation to come. And coming up here shortly on our right-hand side, we're going to be able to see a couple of Hartman's mountain zebra. A group of zebras is called a dazzle, and common question about them is if they are black or white animals. We can tell they are black due to the color of their muzzle, so they are black animals with white stripes. We're able to tell that these are Hartman's mountain zebra. If you look at their neck, they have extra flappy skin dangling. That is called a dewlap. They are the only subspecies of zebra that have that, and it's used to help regulate their body temperature. Also looks like there's a herd of white-bearded wildebeest on the right-hand side. Let's try to get a little bit of a better angle of them. But before we get over there, if you look on the left, there's a couple of African wild dogs sleeping. Wild dogs are the most successful predator in Africa, having a success rate of about 80%. And the reason that they're so successful is because they have incredibly high stamina. They're able to chase their prey until it gives out from exhaustion. They typically hunt in packs of 5 to 15, choosing the dominant male and female to lead the pack and do the breeding purposes. And unlike the domesticated dogs that we have back at home, these dogs only have 4 toes. Going to be another dazzle here on our left-hand side, along with some more wildebeest. There's also a couple of reddish-brown coated antelope. They are called sable antelope. They are the official emblem of the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. They're actually one of the few antelopes that are able to fight during the fight-or-flight sequence. They also use those long, sharp horns to display dominance amongst one another whenever they're trying to get a female. Although the single dominant male antelope is in charge of a group, it's actually the dominant female that chooses the movements of the group. Get a little bit of a better view of those wildebeest now. Wildebeest are the second largely dense pack mammal in the world, second only to us humans, of course. When they migrate, they cluster up in groups of about 1.5 million and travel 500 to 1,000 miles. It is the largest migration of any animal on the planet, and it can be seen from space. We're also going to be passing by a couple of termite mounds. They're made out of dung, spit, and saliva, a favorite scratching post for lots of different animals. And when it gets worn down, the antelope like to stand on top of it, gives them a little bit of a better leverage so they can see their predators from further away. And coming up here shortly on both sides of the vehicle, we're going to be greeted by a couple of Ankole cattle, one of 2 domesticated animals that live on this reserve. They were first domesticated by the Watusi tribe, so they are also called Watusi cattle. If you look at the horns, you'll notice that they're quite long. They typically grow to be about 3 to 4 feet in length, and they're mostly hollow with a honeycomb structure on the inside. They're able to pump blood through their horns at will, helps regulate their body temperature. We're also going to be greeted by a Maasai giraffe coming up here on our left-hand side. A group of giraffes is called a tower. It makes sense that we call them a tower, as giraffes are the tallest land animal, reaching heights of about 18 to 20 feet, and their long legs allow them to cruise at a 10-mile-an-hour rate or run between 30 to 35 miles an hour. Looks like that giraffe has entered the ride path. Giraffes spend the majority of their day eating. They've created a unique adaptation. Their tongues are actually purple, helps to prevent it from getting burnt in the sunlight. And we're able to tell how long a giraffe's tongue is if we look at how long their tail is. And the hair on their tail is a little bit thicker than the hair that we have on our head. Acts as a natural fly swatter, gets rid of all those pesky bugs and insects that love to get on top of their coats. We're going to get a prime photo opportunity of this adult female. Also coming up here on our right-hand side, there's going to be a couple of smaller tan antelope eating some grass, and they're called springbok. Springbok get their name for their ability to spring 6 feet high or leap 13 feet forward. They could bound this entire truck if they wanted to. They're also among the top 10 fastest land animals. These little guys can run anywhere between 50 to 60 miles an hour. They are the official animal of South Africa. A lot of sports teams like to use the Springbok as their sports logo. I do believe I saw a couple more giraffes here. Yeah, there's a whole tower here on the left-hand side, my friends. Looks like there's an adolescent, perhaps a teenage giraffe there, hanging out with what looks like its father. Looks like a young male. We can tell the gender for the giraffes if we look underneath their belly, of course. We also tell that the adult male has a darker coat than the female. Remarkably, giraffes only sleep for about 30 minutes out of the day, usually sitting down, never laying down. They don't want to become vulnerable to any potential predators. We're now going to be heading deeper into the savannah, my friends, see what other animals they can possibly find. And coming up here shortly on the right-hand side, we're going to be greeted by an African elephant. It's not going to be the correct end we want to see, but it's going to be a view nonetheless. We're able to tell that this is an African elephant, though. Due to the shape of its ears, it's sort of shaped like the continent of Africa. On the left-hand side, there's going to be a family of mandrill. Mandrill, the world's largest monkey, with the adult male weighing about 100 pounds, and they're identified for their brilliant red and blue markings that are on their face. Mandrill actually have small little pouches inside of their cheeks so they can store some snacks for later. And when they show their teeth to one another, it's more or less of a greeting. When they show their teeth to other species, it's more or less of them saying back off. Let's see if we can get a better angle, perhaps see the face of this elephant here. Also want to check out to see if there's any other elephants here. Elephants are highly social creatures, with the adult female spending the majority of time with her young. The adult male typically lives by himself or in a loose all-male group, something similar to a bachelor pad. You can kind of see its face, but unfortunately you're going to have to turn your head, as it's kind of hidden amongst all the bushes there. It looks like the elephant's having a little bit of a snack. Usually you find the elephants eating grass, hay, roots, and even tree bark. And they can consume 300 to 500 pounds worth of food each and every day, which seems adequate, as the largest adult male that I've seen on this reserve weighs about 12,000 pounds. It doesn't seem like there's any other elephants hanging around here in this habitat, so we can assume that we saw an adult male. Now going to be passing by some red clay on the right hand side. Red clay is a favorite snack for the elephants, as it has very valuable nutrients for them. And it seems as if some elephants were around here recently. If you look on the right, those look like tusk marks. And on the left hand side, I believe these are elephant prints. Our local conservation team here at the Harambe Wildlife Reserve actually found out that elephants are scared of the sound of bees. So we teamed up with our local farmers in Kenya, passed on this knowledge, and they started planting beehives around the fences of their crops. Helped to scare away the elephants. They did not have to result to conflict of any kind. Elephants are just trying to find a new home since theirs are being destroyed. It's increasing the amount of space that humans and elephants have to share, and their homes are being destroyed due to the mining of a mineral called coltan. But we can help the elephants out by recycling our old electronic devices, such as cell phones, tablets, and laptops, as they already contain that mineral coltan. Look, there's a small baby elephant there on the left-hand side, my friends. It looks like the tusks are just coming through. Look like little vampire tusks. Based on that and the size, I guesstimate this elephant's anywhere between 3 to 5 years old, as it takes about 15 years for an elephant to fully mature their tusk. And newborn baby elephants weigh anywhere between 200 and 300 pounds. Elephants can also consume 50 gallons worth of water each and every day. And contrary to popular belief, they do not use their trunks as straws, but more or less as cups. They'll grab water with their trunk and throw it inside of their mouth. You can see a couple of other adult elephants hanging around here, so it's probably a bunch of females. Elephants live in a matriarch society, meaning the dominant female is in charge of the herd. And we're now going to be approaching a flamboyance, which is a group of greater flamingo. And the flamingos get their coloration from their diet, consuming large amounts of brine shrimp, which is high in beta-carotene. If you look amongst the flamboyants, there's a couple of gray flamingos here. Little youngsters got to eat some more shrimp so they can have the same color that mom and dad have. Common question about the flamingos is why do they stand on one leg, and it's to help regulate their body temperature. a huge mud wallow in this area, and it seems as if some of the trees have been smeared around by the mud. It leads me to believe that there may be a couple of white rhinoceros nearby. But instead we're going to be greeted by one of my favorite animals on the left-hand side, 3 scimitar horned oryx. What's awesome about these animals is they can go 9 months without consuming any water. They get all the water they need from their diet, and they don't start sweating till they reach about 115 degrees Fahrenheit. Helps to conserve all the water inside of their bodies. They get the name scimitar horn for those curved-like horns that they have, sort of shaped like a scimitar sword. There's a couple of those white rhinoceros that we were talking about earlier. But Hakuna Matata, no worries if you're not able to get a great photo opportunity of them. I have a strong feeling that we're going to be able to see them once more with a little bit of a better view. And the white rhinos, just like the elephants, are pretty social animals, so it's not a surprise that we saw more than one, as a group of white rhinos is called a crash. And it's called a crash because white rhinos have terrible eyesight. They can only see about 10 feet in front of them. It's a little tougher to see this next animal laying down on the grass in between all the trees. There's a cheetah laying down there. Let's see if I can get a better angle for you all.
Right there.
Cheetahs are the fastest land animal, reaching speeds of 60 to 70 miles an hour. And cheetahs are built for speed, not power, so they hunt during the day. They're outmatched by other big cats, such as lions and leopards. The tear marks that we see in a cheetah's face help to reflect the glare of the sunlight when they hunt, and their big tail sort of acts like a rudder on a boat, helps them to keep balance whenever they move. Apologize if not everybody can see the cheetah. It's kind of hidden right behind that tree there. They can reach 60 miles an hour in about 3 seconds, but they cannot sustain it for too long. You usually find them getting real close and personal to their prey before they pounce. Cheetahs are the only big cats that cannot roar, but when they lack in power, they definitely make up with their speed. We're now going to be approaching a kopje, which is a large formation of stone and rock. If any of you are familiar with the Lion King, maybe you want to be thinking about which animals we typically find sleeping on top of the kopje. It looks like there's an ostrich on the right hand side along with those white rhinoceros that we saw a little bit earlier. Ostriches are the world's largest bird. Although they are flightless, they use their enormous wings to help them run when they run anywhere between 40 to 45 miles an hour. And the white rhinos are pretty heavy animals. They weigh anywhere between 4,000 and 5,000 pounds. And they can also charge up to speeds of 35 miles an hour, so I definitely would not pick a fight with them. Coming up here on the left-hand side, laying down in the dirt, we're going to be able to see a couple of warthogs. Warthogs are one of the smartest burrowing animals, as they're able to back up into their home and expose those razor sharp tusks. They get the name warthogs for the warts that are on their face. Males have 4, females have 2, helps to protect their skull. A lot of you are familiar with Pumbaa from the Lion King, and Pumbaa in Swahili means foolish one. Right now we're going to get an excellent photo opportunity of the ostrich along with the white rhinoceros. We're able to tell these ostriches are females due to the color of their feathers. It's more gray, as opposed to the males. They have black feathers. There's also a couple of ostrich eggs on the floor. These are the world's largest and strongest of all bird eggs. An adult human male could stand on one of those eggs and it would not break. And one of those ostrich eggs is equivalent to about 2 dozen chicken eggs. We're able to tell those are white rhinoceros. If you look at the shape of their mouth, it's more wide. Helps them to graze around here in the savannah. Looks like we'll get one more peek of the warthogs on our left-hand side. A little dozed off at the moment. But besides them, it doesn't look like there's any other animals to see. So we're going to be heading out of the savannah, my friends, and we're going to be entering the Magadi Glen next. Judging on the green sign posted, this looks like it could be the new warden's post. And we're going to be greeted by the second domesticated animal that lives on this reserve, my friends, a couple of Nigerian dwarf goats. Usually find them exhibiting playful and social behavior. Helps to determine who's the most dominant amongst the group. It's important to remember that humans and animals can coexist with one another. The warden and the staff take care of these little guys. And the milk that they produce can be sold by the local farmers, and it's quite tasty to drink as well. They have excellent balance. Usually find them doing some parkour in this area when they're feeling a little bit more energetic. Alrighty, my friends, it does look like it's going to be coming to an end through our journey in the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. I hope you all had a wild time, learned a thing or two about Africa and the many animals that inhabit it. I recommend to try to take what you may have learned here today and apply it to your own daily lives, whether it's something as simple as planting a garden or building a birdhouse in your backyard. You can also contact your local conservation team, find out which plants and animals may be endangered in your local area and what you can do to help. A big factor is reduce, reuse, recycle. Like we talked about with the elephants, they'd appreciate it if we recycled our old electronic devices. And it's also little things that we can do each and every day that'll add a difference and make a difference over time, such as turning off the faucet when you brush your teeth, turning off the electricity in a room as soon as you exit that room, possibly powering up your home using solar power, and cleaning up your local beach or highway. It looks like we're going to be hanging